Battle Through the Heavens Episode 203. After Xiao Yan refined the Northern Dragon King into a Six-Star Dou Sheng Puppet, Hun Miesheng, the Hall Master of the Hall of Souls, unexpectedly turned out to still be alive. He was revived by Hun Tiandi and even advanced to the level of a Seven-Star Dou Sheng. After Xiao Yan successfully killed the Northern Dragon King, he used the Purifying Lotus Demon Flame to burn his soul until it was completely reduced to nothing. At that moment, Xiao Yan discovered that the Northern Dragon King's physical body was extremely suitable for refining into a puppet. He immediately asked Zi Yan for the corpse of the Northern Dragon King, then entered a secret chamber and began refining it in seclusion. Xiao Yan opened his mouth and spat out a cluster of pink Purifying Lotus Demon Flame. The flame swelled rapidly in the wind, transforming into a massive fire cauldron. With a casual wave of his hand, he tossed the Northern Dragon King's body inside. The moment the body touched the flames, sizzling sounds came from its surface. The remaining blood plasma kept seeping out before being completely evaporated by the terrifying heat. This tempering process seemed simple, but it lasted for a full 10 days. During those 10 days, Xiao Yan did not stop for even a moment. He continuously roasted the Northern Dragon King's body with the Purifying Lotus Demon Flame. As the refining continued, the Northern Dragon King's originally huge and muscular body shrank by several sizes. His skin turned as dark as black iron, and all the blood inside his body merged into his muscles and bones. Looking at this perfect body that radiated an oppressive aura, Xiao Yan smiled in satisfaction and prepared to move on to the next step. However, just as the Purifying Lotus Demon Flame was about to fade away, the Northern Dragon King inside the fire cauldron suddenly opened his eyes. A familiar scarlet glow appeared once again. He let out a sinister laugh and said Xiao Yan had been far too careless. Xiao Yan had only scattered his soul, but he did not know that the body and soul of the ancient Void Dragon clan were originally one. His remaining soul had been hiding deep inside the body the entire time. The moment he finished speaking, the Northern Dragon King threw out a punch and shattered the fire cauldron directly. With a proud and wild laugh, he stretched out his huge hand and grabbed fiercely toward the unprepared Xiao Yan. This sudden change would have terrified anyone, but the smile on Xiao Yan's face did not change at all. He merely raised a finger and pointed toward the Northern Dragon King from a distance. With a dull bang, the Northern Dragon King, who was charging forward violently, suddenly froze. Pink flames erupted from inside his body without warning, tightly wrapping around him from head to toe. The flames seeped into every corner of his body and quickly rushed into his mind, surrounding the remnant soul hidden deep inside his flesh. The Northern Dragon King was shocked and furious. He roared and demanded to know what Xiao Yan had done to him. Xiao Yan smiled faintly and told him that trying to play tricks with soul concealment in front of his Emperor Realm soul was simply overestimating himself. In truth, Xiao Yan had already discovered that remnant soul long ago, but he had deliberately chosen not to destroy it. That remnant soul was the key to refining a perfect puppet. An ordinary puppet might be hard and fearless of pain, but it had no battle experience at all. It could only rely on its master's control, making its movements stiff and rigid. But the Northern Dragon King had fought countless battles and possessed extremely rich combat experience. As long as Xiao Yan refined his remnant soul and fused it into the puppet, he could create a true killing machine. Back when Xiao Yan scattered the Northern Dragon King's soul, he had intentionally left behind this single remnant. That remnant soul inherited the Northern Dragon King's cruel and vicious nature. It had been hiding inside the body, waiting for a chance to strike. Only after Xiao Yan refined the body to its limit did it suddenly make its move, never realizing that it had already fallen into Xiao Yan's trap. Xiao Yan softly said, "Found you." Then he waved his hand indifferently. The Purifying Lotus Demon Flame surged forward all at once, swallowing the Northern Dragon King's remnant soul like a storm sweeping away clouds. In just a few minutes, it completely refined the soul. After being refined, the remnant soul turned into strands of illusory airflow. Under Xiao Yan's control, those strands slowly merged into the puppet's mind. The Northern Dragon King's body, which had originally had empty and lifeless eyes, gradually revealed a cold metallic glow. His once stiff body also became relaxed. But this relaxation was not weakness. Instead, it was the terrifying explosive power hidden deep within him. Xiao Yan flicked his finger, and a drop of his blood essence landed on the puppet's forehead, forming a faint blood seal. A feeling of mental connection immediately appeared in his heart. He named this puppet Northern King. Northern King immediately responded in a cold, hoarse voice and called Xiao Yan master. This Northern King puppet was completely different from Xiao Yan's previous heavenly demon puppets. It did not need Xiao Yan to control it constantly. With only a single thought, it could act on its own. When fighting, its movements were smooth and natural, almost no different from the real Northern Dragon King. Its strength was already comparable to a 5-star Dou Sheng. But Xiao Yan was not satisfied. He knew that with the Northern Dragon King's physique, this puppet's limit was far beyond that. Puppets could not use Dou Qi. They could only rely on physical strength. Xiao Yan then thought of the method he had used before to strengthen the heavenly demon puppets with thunder power. This time, when refining Northern King, he had also added special materials that could absorb thunder. However, ordinary pill lightning was far from enough to push Northern King to the level of a 6-star Dou Sheng. Only one place had lightning powerful enough to do that. Xiao Yan brought Northern King out of the quiet chamber. When Kai Lin saw Northern King, a trace of surprise flashed through her eyes. After being refined by the Purifying Lotus Demon Flame for more than 10 days, Northern King's appearance had changed greatly. No one could recognize him as the once infamous Northern Dragon King. Xiao Yan briefly explained a few things, then took Northern King and flew toward the empty space outside Dragon Island. Before long, the two arrived at the Void Thunder Pool. Back when Xiao Yan first came here, he had to carefully avoid the lightning, afraid that he would draw countless thunderbolts onto himself. But now, with the Purifying Lotus Demon Flame protecting his body, ordinary lightning instinctively avoided him before it even came within several dozen feet. Xiao Yan moved forward without obstruction, heading straight toward the deepest part of the thunder pool. When he saw the black lightning twisting like dark dragons, even Xiao Yan's current expression could not help becoming serious. These were the terrifying existences that had once chased Dean Mang Tianqi into a miserable retreat. But Xiao Yan's eyes were filled with excitement. As long as Northern King could absorb the power of this black lightning, it would reach its truly perfect state and gain the strength to fight a 6-star Dou Sheng. Xiao Yan calmly brought Northern King into the thunder pool. The ordinary lightning sensed the aura of the Purifying Lotus Demon Flame on him, and stopped dozens of feet away before hurriedly moving aside. In less than 10 minutes, they arrived at the deepest region of the thunder pool. Xiao Yan looked at the swarms of black lightning slowly twisting ahead like dark dragons. Even with his current strength, his expression became solemn. But that seriousness only lasted for a moment before joy appeared on his face. He knew that as long as Northern King absorbed the power of these black lightning bolts, it would truly reach perfection and possess the strength to fight a 6-star Dou Sheng. An ally of this level was immeasurably important to both Xiao Yan and the Heaven Mansion Alliance. Xiao Yan stopped outside the black lightning region and gazed at the countless black thunderbolts inside. His eyes were filled with amazement. Who would have thought that the black demon lightning, which could only be drawn out by refining a 9th-tier pill, would exist in such terrifying numbers deep within the Void Thunder Pool? The wonders of heaven and earth were truly endless. Xiao Yan was no stranger to black demon lightning. Back when he refined pills in the small pill tower, he had once successfully drawn down one bolt. However, compared to the black lightning in front of him now, that one bolt was nothing at all. After confirming that nothing unexpected would happen, Northern King, who stood behind him, immediately stepped forward without hesitation and walked deeper into the thunder pool. The moment Northern King entered the depths, he attracted the attention of some black demon lightning. A bolt of black lightning more than 10 feet thick slowly twisted like a giant python and coiled above Northern King's head. Crackling electric light flashed continuously. Under Xiao Yan's control, Northern King stopped, raised his head, and looked at that bolt of black demon lightning. Then he slowly stretched out his hand toward it. The black demon lightning did not dodge. Instead, it seemed to feel provoked. It suddenly swung part of its body and struck Northern King's arm. The instant the black demon lightning touched Northern King's arm, his black iron-like body suddenly released a strange suction force. It forcefully pulled the entire bolt of black demon lightning into his body. Northern King's hair immediately stood on end. Rings of black lightning wrapped wildly around his body, releasing sharp sizzling sounds. Xiao Yan stared nervously at Northern King, whose whole body flashed with black sparks. A moment later, joy appeared in his eyes. He could sense that after the violent black demon lightning energy rampaged through Northern King's body for a while, it gradually merged into his muscles, bones, and cells. Thunder power truly worked on Northern King. Under the tempering of that energy, Northern King's already dark body became even deeper in color. The lines of his muscles grew clearer, filled with a terrifying sense of explosive power. Seeing that the effect was good, Xiao Yan was just about to smile when all the hairs on his body suddenly stood up. He lifted his head and saw that Northern King was already surrounded by huge bolts of black lightning. They circled around him like giant dragons, releasing a wild and violent aura that made one's scalp go numb. Xiao Yan shook his head helplessly. He knew they had still disturbed more black demon lightning. With a movement of his mind, the surrounded Northern King suddenly stomped his foot against empty space. His body shot out like a cannonball. This action completely broke the deadlock. Countless bolts of black demon lightning surged at the same time. With astonishing speed, they caught up to Northern King and crashed fiercely into his body. Each bolt of black demon lightning that struck Northern King was instantly absorbed by his body. But the impact of the lightning still sent him flying thousands of feet away. Xiao Yan secretly clicked his tongue in shock. This kind of power would make even an ordinary one-star Dou Sheng feel troubled. But Northern King's body was simply too strong. Even after being blasted so far away, he did not lose a single hair. Northern King simply sat down cross-legged and allowed the bolts of black demon lightning to strike him crazily. Continuous thunderous explosions rang out in the depths of the thunder pool. Countless bolts of black demon lightning rushed toward Northern King one after another, but all of them disappeared into his body like stones sinking into the ocean. Northern King's physical strength far exceeded Xiao Yan's expectations. The ancient Void Dragon clan was already famous for powerful bodies, and the Northern Dragon King had been outstanding even among them. On top of that, he had swallowed the flesh and blood of the Western and Southern Dragon Kings, which raised his strength even further. In terms of physical strength alone, perhaps even the current Yen could not compare to this mutated Northern Dragon King. After so many improvements, combined with the tempering of the Purifying Lotus Demon Flame, Northern King's body was naturally terrifying to the extreme. Even after absorbing so much black demon lightning, there was still no sign that he had reached his limit. Xiao Yan felt that only a puppet like this could be considered a true masterpiece. Compared to Northern King, the heavenly demon puppets from before were nothing but piles of scrap metal. At this speed, Xiao Yan estimated that within half a month, Northern King could be raised to the level of a 6-star Dou Sheng. He nodded in satisfaction and was just about to close his eyes to rest when a thin bolt of black demon lightning, only as thick as an arm, drifted over unconsciously and struck his body. Such a small bolt of black demon lightning naturally could not hurt Xiao Yan. The moment it touched him, the pink flame on the surface of his body curled around it and directly swallowed it. Xiao Yan froze for a moment. Just as he was about to check where the black demon lightning had gone, he suddenly felt an unusually pure energy surge from inside his body and spread into his limbs and bones. What surprised him even more was that when this energy flowed through his meridians and muscles, it brought a faint numbing sensation. Every organ in his body felt unusually comfortable. Xiao Yan immediately reacted. This was the devouring power of the 𝐁𝐓𝐹𝐇 Devouring Flame. At that moment, Little E appeared on his shoulder. Little E opened its bright eyes and stared at the distant black demon lightning. Drool even began to flow from the corner of its mouth. It quickly wiped its mouth, then sucked in with its little mouth. A strange devouring force instantly erupted. More than 10 nearby bolts of black demon lightning were immediately swept over like they had been caught in a storm, then swallowed by Little E in one mouthful. After swallowing more than 10 bolts of black demon lightning in one breath, black electric arcs began flashing across Little Yi's body. At the same time, an even more powerful and pure energy poured into Xiao Yan's body. Only now did Xiao Yan completely understand. Little E, who possessed part of the 𝐁𝐓𝐹𝐇 Devouring Flame's ability, could actually transform the violent black demon lightning into pure energy that he could absorb. Xiao Yan became so excited that his heart pounded wildly. He discovered that his strength, which had remained stagnant ever since he left the demon flame space, was beginning to slowly increase. He raised his head stiffly and looked at the dense, overwhelming mass of black demon lightning in the distance. In an instant, blazing heat appeared in his eyes. In the eyes of others, black demon lightning was a deadly scythe. But in Xiao Yan's eyes, it had become the most perfect nourishment in the world. Xiao Yan greedily licked his lips. A low growl of uncontrollable joy escaped from his throat. These bolts of black demon lightning were all his. At the same time, on an altar within the Hun clan, Hun Miesheng, the Hall Master of the Hall of Souls whose body had been destroyed by Xiao Yan at Fallen Peak, had unexpectedly revived. At this moment, he was kneeling on the ground. Standing before him with a true mastermind, Hun Tiandi, and the transformed human form of the 𝐁𝐓𝐓𝐇 Devouring Flame. Back during the battle at Fallen Peak, Hun Miesheng's broken and miserable remnant soul had been carefully protected in the palm of Hun Tiandi, a Six-Star Dou Sheng of the Hun clan, as he rushed back toward the distant Hun clan. This Hall Master of the Hall of Souls, who had once made all of Central Plains tremble in fear, had been reduced to only a faint trace of consciousness. After returning to the Hun clan, Hun Tiandi quietly looked at that remnant soul without the slightest ripple in his eyes. He knew very well how valuable Hun Miesheng was. This was the man who had single-handedly built the enormous Hall of Souls, laid countless spies across Central Plains for the Hun clan, and collected hundreds of millions of souls. He was an indispensable key figure in the Hun clan's 1,000-year plan. Even though he had been defeated by Xiao Yan, Hun Tiandi was unwilling to casually abandon such a useful chess piece. He ordered the 𝐁𝐓𝐓𝐇 Devouring Flame to reconstruct Hun Miesheng's body. When the 𝐁𝐁𝐓𝐃 Devouring Flame heard this, a trace of reluctance flashed deep in its eyes. Its source flame was the essence it had cultivated for thousands of years. Losing even a strand of it would require a very long time to recover. As the source power of the 𝐁𝐁𝐓𝐃 Devouring Flame slowly seeped into the remnant soul, it repaired the soul structure destroyed by the Buddha's Fury Flame Lotus and, at the same time, forged an entirely new body for Hun Miesheng. When the final strand of source flame merged into the new body, Hun Miesheng slowly opened his eyes. He sensed the unprecedented power inside his body, and was shocked to discover that his cultivation had directly broken through to the Seven-Star Dou Sheng level. But along with that power came an even deeper hatred for Xiao Yan. He clenched his fists, and only one thought remained in his heart. He would make Xiao Yan repay this blood debt. After being revived, Hun Miesheng did not immediately go to Xiao Yan for revenge. Instead, he chose to wait patiently for the best opportunity. And that opportunity soon arrived during the great battle at the Sky Burial Mountain Range.